I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where we cover all things X-Men, Marvel. We are in the midst of one of the longest, I think, runs that we have done for the show. We have started AVX, and it's a huge crossover event, Avengers versus X-Men. We're starting with the X-Sanction miniseries, where Cable is sent from the future to kill the Avengers for crimes against humanity. I didn't really pay attention to the last issue, Gary. So
I'm killing Hope.
Yeah, crimes against humanity, crimes against hope.
Crimes against mutanemy.
Mm-hmm.
Crimes against mutant Amy. And this is I like X-Men and I like Avengers too.
Yeah,
so it's cool to fight some Avengers. Last issue, Cable took out the Falcon and Captain America. We learned basically, he hooked up with his weird little bug-eyed blacksmith friendo and realized that the Avengers were who did it. So he went back in time to kill the Avengers, but he is on a ticking clock. The technovirus is taking over his body and killing him. He has 24 hours.
Yep, and he actually said at the end of the last issue he has about 18 hours left. So clock is ticking even harder. This cover is really interesting because you could kind of just look at it and go like, oh, he's fighting Iron Man, but also he has like Iron Man hands, like he's shooting some beams like Iron Man does. So what's up with that? Also,
he's also suffering from low shoulder.
He does have a loose shoulder.
Doesn't it look like his arm is coming out of like his ribs?
Yeah. Poor guy.
In that, the organic viruses makes fools of us all,
I bet now that you've said that out loud, Facebook's going to be advertising T-shirts to you that would solve that problem, because I know all it advertises to me is just T-shirts that will hide a beer belly, and I'm like, this is unfair. I don't like this.
Yeah. This picture, I don't like it. Anything you say, Facebook just picking it up, is fucking spooky,
super gross.
And, but what's privacy?
You have said most of your life into an MP3 at this point, so
I talked a lot about a lot of secrets showing up on podcasts. So like at this point, the cow's kind of out of the barn.
Yeah, you might as well just go whole hog.
Yeah. Might as well go whole hog. We start off this issue with Iron Man fighting the living laser.
Mm-hmm.
And him just, how many times we're gonna have to do this dance.
Yeah.
This is an arch enemy of Iron Man's. Living Laser brings up a great point. He's like, you made this a fight. We were just trying to get out of here.
We were leaving. You stopped us from doing that. Like, this whole fight is up to you.
Mind your own business, man. The thing in the fight, this is where you get, I don't think Jeff Loeb is good at characterization. Like, Iron Man does not sound like Iron Man.
Not at all. Yeah.
In this to me, like hell it is. The Lethal Legion fell out of the sky. Like, they all sound like 60s versions of the Avengers.
Yeah. Sounds pretty dated and just generic, I think, for the worst part. Like, just even the living laser, like who's dialogue bubble is in yellow, does not earn the color yellow in his dialogue bubble. It just is like, I don't know. None of us do, honest. Like, he sounds like just a typical New York villain.
It's just like, basically he kind of explains, like, Iron Man's like, how'd you guys escape? He's like, there was an EMP. It took out our power collars. This is never actually underlined that this is Cable, but obviously this is Cable causing a distraction to gather Avengers.
Yeah.
He's like very lucky he didn't catch Cloak and Dagger or something. With a strap. Just like, fuck. Do you guys plan to kill Hope? Who? God damn it.
So Iron Man finally notices that Captain America is not there anymore. He doesn't mention Falcon at all, but he does see that Red Wing is flying solo. So Red Wing's going to lead. Red Wing is just a bird, by the way. Like, if you're coming from the MCU, you may be like, oh, that's a weird activity for a drone to do. No. This is a living bird that Falcon flies around with in the comics.
It's a bird that Falcon controls with his mind, or like is friends with.
Yes, he's bird person.
Comics Falcon showed up in the 70s.
He's just bird person is what he is. We go over to the cargo ship that Cable has now captured and subdued Falcon and Captain America. He's telepathically kind of monologuing to Captain America while he puts on a fancy Iron Man suit.
Yep. And says, like, hey, don't talk. Like, you can hear me, but you're in this inhibitor chair. The more you resist, it's going to scramble your brain. Like, if I had knocked you out, your brain would have been destroyed. And I need your brain. Like, I don't want you dead because I need to find out some intel. You don't want to take this beating for nothing. What do you have against my daughter? And he opens up his like tech closet and it turns out he has an Iron Man suit in there.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
We time slide to somewhere in the future where he is remembering, he's remembering things that happen in the future because that's Cable's life. But this is a very tiny Hope and in a very adorable like X uniform onesie thing that I just think is just
tiny like X onesie is very funny.
Oh my God, it's so good.
This Moppet, like very, very, and like the roundness of Ed McGuinness's art in Hope's head. Like I had no idea that Hope was basically a Billy Quiz boy, but now she's like 3 heads tall.
Nathan,
and one
are
of those
you
heads
awake?
is her head. Yeah. Are you awake, Nathan? But she's seeing his metal arm, touching it, asking if it hurts, and a tiny Jeremy Greer style squirt.
Yep.
Pops out and pokes her in the finger.
I don't like that, but I'm gonna make it the episode title.
You fallen right into my trap. And this wakes up Cable at this point, who freaks out. Don't touch my techno arm while I'm sleeping.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that. Meanwhile, in the present day, Iron Man lands on this yacht. He goes in and finds Captain America and Falcon, quickly realizes, or his computer does, that the whole thing's loaded with C4. He has no idea what's going on until he gets hit with a thoom with Cable's crazy future tech Iron Man suit. And he even says, like, hey, like, I know Tony Stark means well. Again, like Cable doesn't have any like personal grudge against him. He is just doing this to figure out why they are going to kill Hope. But of course, that's just presented as aggression to the Avengers. So of course, Tony Stark starts fighting back.
I love that he's just wearing the Iron Man gloves
and the like
all
and
the
chest
power
piece,
for the blast,
right? Like
he put on the power thing on just onto his chest.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he bought this from a Walmart.
Yeah,
like it's when you can buy the Hulk hands and the Captain America helmet, piecemeal. Of course, Iron Man is like, you're out of your head, etc., and starts fighting him, and Cable just starts owning him.
Yes.
He shuts him down. He gives him a diagnostic error. And he's like, how did you do this? Like every piece of hardware I've ever created, I remember it. And Cable says, not if you haven't invented it yet, which is really cool. Like, I don't know if I've seen somebody take Iron Man's things he invents in the future and using them against him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool.
Yep, and I like he blasts them outside the ship, and then Cable follows, and it's like, "Hey, meet the futurist," which is one of Tony Stark's, I guess not nicknames, but names.
He refers to himself,
yeah,
self-identified futurist.
I was reminded of that scene where Tony Stark goes into the raft in the MCU, and Hawkeye is like clapping his hands, is like the futurist, everybody, with all of his friends in jail.
Yeah. Yep.
So we get more punching and more dialoguing from Cable as they underwater. They are now fighting each other, and all he can think about is Hope. And even though his strength is failing, he just keeps thinking Hope, because he's that's all he's got right now.
Yep. Iron Man manages to find a system override so he can use his powers again and blast Cable. Underwater. Cable is passing out. We go to the future again. To this post-apocalyptic Cable and Hope stuff, which I know there are comics about, but I did not read. And Hope has adorably given herself little cans on her arm to be a little mini Cable.
Very cute.
And Cable is furious. What is that? Take that off now. She says, I want to be like you. And he's like, you don't want to be like this. You don't want to be like me. I don't know why. She seems old enough to understand. Like, oh, this is actually a sickness. This hurts real bad.
Yeah. Like, Although even then, like, just let her. I mean, she's a little girl. Let her roll with it. Like, what I'm saying?
These cans on her arm is okay.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
You don't like your kid comes in. They're wearing your shoes. And they're in their small feet and they're walking around like that. You don't freak out. Like, you don't want to be like me
with my size 16s.
Not doing great dad stuff. Either's going to make up for it by going back in the past and killing the Avengers. Iron Man is like, hey, you slipped up. Like, everything I build, I know about it. It's based on my like source code.
Yep. But Cable has a trick up his sleeve because Tony refers to this as saying you were essentially wearing my DNA, which, hey, gross, not great.
That's nasty.
But Cable is me and Trixie. The DNA has been corrupted by Ascani, which is a language that nobody's going to hear for 1,000 years, but he grew up with, and he manages to shut the Iron Man down. And then he grabs him and flies off with him. And in his eye, we see Hope screaming Nathan real loud, just to hammer home how Hope is important. I don't know if you knew that, Gary. I don't know if you were well aware of this.
Cable thinks about Hope a lot.
Yeah.
Cable would not be fun to have a beer with.
No, man.
Like, you're meet one of those guys who only talks about his kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be that kind of thing. And it's even worse because you just had a beer with Cyclops and all I did was talk about Cable. It's like you're in a never-ending cycle. You know? Have you met my older than me son?
And then you go hang out with Teen Cyclops and he's like, I don't drink beer. And you're like, God, what a fucking loser you are.
Yeah. Have you met the old me who has a grandfather son who has a mutant saber daughter? Like,
what?
Mr. Sinister shows up and goes, I can answer the questions you have. They're in the future. Hope is asking, she's a little older now. She has a gun on her back, you know, and she's like, what is this like? What is the virus like?
And he describes it as a darkness, like when you can't remember a name or a place, except that you really want to remember it. So he has to...
Or you don't want to remember it.
And you don't want to remember it, excuse me. So he has to, like, consciously and continuously use his telekinetic ability to keep it at bay. And he's constantly doing that. And she's like, well, how could you do that? She's like, I just do. Like, it's like people with cancer. Nobody gives you a choice. And then they kind of talk about, she says, like, sometimes I think about your parents sent you to the future when you were just a baby. And he's like, yeah, I would have died if they hadn't done that. It's like, yeah, but it would have been hard. And then, of course, this ends with, there's a difference between my parents and me. I'll never leave you, which, of course, he has. By sacrificing
a brutal
himself.
drag to Cyclops.
Absolute brutal drag to Cyclops. You're right.
We go back. Iron Man is also in one of those chairs.
Mm-hmm.
Stuck there. Magneto designed them. Your technology will not work. And Cable reveals a little plot stuff. He's like, this is anti-mutant technology. This is going to end up with the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of anti-mutant tech here. As he's saying this, he gets blasted in the back by who? The Red Hulk with a bandolier and a gigantic gun with a laser sight.
I love it.
And I hate the Red Hulk so much. The Hulk should not use a gun.
The Hulk with the gun
just
seems so over the fucking top, dude. It's so bad.
Yeah. Why on earth? He's got this smirk.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Loeb created the Red Hulk, so part of me is just like, this is the vision that he has.
Yeah, this is
this is cool.
This is the stand-in, the character stand-in.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
So we get a page with like 4 panels, each divided from the current timeline and then somewhere in the future where Hope has grown up. And both of them, Cable is on the ground, like struggling, and he's, now he's hearing the Red Hulk talk. In the future, he's hearing Hope talk, saying that he's got to fight it and come back to her.
Mm-hmm.
And in the present, Red Hulk is just doing his like dumbass monologuing bullshit.
He was not just going to rip off Cable's head because he needs to figure out how to free his friends without blowing up the C4. There's an interesting little bit where Cable looks at me and calls him Talbot. He's like, I fought you before, and every time you lose. He thinks Red Hulk is somebody else, which I never really thought about the Hulk as a disguise. But like if you're the Hulk, nobody knows who you really are.
Yeah.
I mean,
they know you're the Hulk, but that's it.
Yeah, it's like that helmet or those boots you can get in Oblivion. Where you're like Spring-Heeled Jack or whatever, and you can commit crimes under that. They don't count as your character. Red Hulk is like, I'm not Talbot, we've never met before. You're dealing with a Hulk of a different color.
Oh my God. Shut up.
Shut up, Red Hulk.
Red
You gotta
Hulk,
go.
up.
What is up with your bottom fangs? I fucking hate you, Red Hulk.
Yeah. Did you file those yourself? Like, what are you doing with
Jesus
these fangs?
Christ.
Why does the Hulk need fangs?
You don't bite things. Like, and when you do, you're strong enough where you don't need fangs. The big reveal here, though, this is our last page, our cliffhanger, is that in order to fight the Red Hulk, Cable lets the virus take him over.
Yep.
His whole face gets virusified. And instead of fighting it with his TK, he's going to indulge it. and use those powers.
And what's going to happen, Gary?
We don't know yet.
We
I
don't
know.
You know. I tried to read.
I read the things.
Yeah.
He fights.
Surprise.
Yeah. There's some fight. Thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate you.
We do. This is great, by the way. I just want to say
back.
that this is a lot of fun. Like Red Hulk aside, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, Red Hulk fucking sucks, but this is a cool mystery too. Like, because we still don't know exactly. We know the Avengers killed Hope, but we still don't know exactly what's going on. You know, and they're really slowly dripping this out. Like, this is all this anti-mutant shit. This is here. You guys got it. What happened?
Yeah.
You know, it's neat, and the way it ends is pretty cool. Yeah, real fun stuff.
Yeah.
If you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. We'd appreciate it.
We would. Please do that.
Yeah.
Donate a couple bucks. You get all kinds of cool features, extras, episodes early. You get to dictate what Gary and Cole play on different podcasts. You can't tell me shit, though, so good luck with that. I won't cover anything.
Good luck. Patreon.com/Monster of the Week. If you want to tell Jeremy what to do.
Yeah, I guess you could do that. Fuck you too, Gary. But thank you, everybody, for listening. If you want to tell your friends about the show, we would really appreciate it. Just spread the word. And, of course, AVX is probably a good jumping on point if people want to just jump in somewhere. Also, if you want to point your friends to the episode guide page that has a breakdown of all of the various things that we've covered on the podcast, so you can click and go straight to those episodes, so you don't have to look through our dumbass names that we've named this podcast and try to figure out what issue or whatever it is.
Yeah, and we appreciate you listening.
Yeah.
And we'll see you soon with more X-Sanction and then more AVX.
Can't wait. Bye, everybody.
Bye.